There's a huge issue right now going on with AI music. And even if you don't release AI music, even if you don't make it or use it or whatever, this is something you need to know about as it's definitely going to affect you. And that is this, that up to 70% of streams of AI generated music on Deezer and probably a lot of other platforms are fraudulent. According to the French streaming platform's analysis, fraudsters use bots to listen to AI music and then take the royalties. And I'm telling you, this is going to cause a lot more issue, not to be the bearer of bad news, a lot more issues in general when it comes to just streaming, the way streaming services are going to be cracking down on this, the algorithm is being used, and a lot more, and a lot of other stuff I will be talking about in this video. Because people hear that right now, the company said that AI-made music accounts for just about 0.5% of streams on the music streaming platform, but its analysis shows that fraudsters are behind up to 70% of those streams. And this is a huge issue in general, right? Because it says here that what they do is they typically generate revenue on platforms like Deezer by using bots to listen to AI-generated songs and take the royalty payments, right? And they become sizable once spread across multiple tracks. Streaming doesn't pay that much. But if you have a bot or some kind of program, tool, whatever, to just bang out those listens or streams in a very engineered way, it can add up, right? And this is a big thing that right now, a lot of people are using the manipulation right here of AI generating music was and bid to get some money from royalties. As long as there's money in it, there will be efforts. And this is something I've talked about, and I will talk about in this video, that a lot of people are getting into AI music and releasing AI music, not just for the craftsmanship of making a song or like the curiosity of using pseudo audio. I mentioned before in a lot of videos, I have an AI artist, the Infinite Lamb Shop. It's more of an interesting thing for me to do as an artist, just to test things out, see how it forms, more of just like a experiment more than anything. But there are a lot of people looking at it as a get-rich-quick type scheme, and right, as he said right here, who's the director of royalties and reporting, that's why we're fighting it, because we know it's not going away, and we need to be one step ahead of it every time, and it's getting worse. They do have a tool that can detect AI-made content from like pseudo audio, for example. I actually did look into this on Deezer. Let me pull this up actually. On my artist, the Infinite Lamb Shop. It's kind of cool. Let me show you this actually as we're talking about it. The Infinite Lamb Shop. So if I go here to the Infinite Lamb Shop, you can see if I go to say this one, you can see this. And I do like that they do this. I do like that it says, hey, AI generated content. Some tracks on this album may have been created using artificial intelligence. I like that it does that, right? I actually like that that's right out in the open, right when you see the album, even before you see the track list, boom, you have this note right there. Here's the thing though, and this is what's really like a huge issue, as it's going right now, it revealed in April of this year that AI-generated music now represents about 18% of all uploads to its platform, or 20,000 tracks per day. I guarantee that's way higher. And keep in mind, this is just Deezer. This isn't even Spotify, because right here, Deezer has more than 10 million subscribers worldwide, while Spotify has 268 million. So you're talking about Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all these platforms being flooded out with AI music, and it's getting worse and worse. 20,000 tracks per day is crazy. I'm going down here, and this is the big thing. They do not know who's behind the fraudulent streams, but the perpetrators appear to be organized. And I think that is the big thing, because right here, it says that fraudulent streaming steals money that should be going to legitimate artists, and that generative AI has significantly exacerbated the problem. Now, here's why this is actually a huge deal and something that I want to do an entire dedicated video about. John Oliver, Great Time, just did a huge piece about AI slop, as it's called. And in case you don't know, because it's so easy to generate anything with AI, platforms like Instagram, if you look at Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, all this kind of stuff, have a lot of people, TikToks, making shorts or vertical, quick, short format content with AI. And they're being flooded, because it's so easy to make, with thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even a day, because it's so easy to make these quick AI pieces and put them up. And the problem is those views, those streams, those listens, all that kind of stuff that happens on TikTok and Instagram and whatnot are very easily taken away from human artists, people making graphics or photographers or visual artists all this kind of stuff. We know this is becoming a pretty big issue. Even one spot, John Oliver talked about one guy who can make these phenomenal art pieces just with a chainsaw, where he chainsaws wood and makes these mind-blowing art pieces. And what happened is someone had AI kind of analyze his kind of video production style and start replicating it. So now, as opposed to you watching a human use a chainsaw to cut a piece of wood to make something out of it, you're watching an AI actually do it. And it's becoming a huge issue, right? And here's the thing. Once this starts happening, it becomes a Wild West. And this is what's going on right now with music, because the biggest thing is this. There's kind of now a two-step process a lot of people are using to make money very quickly and easily with Deezer and other platforms. One, you go to Studio Video. It's like $10 a month. You can make thousands of songs like that. And then what you do is you then upload them to, like, say, DistroKid, for example. And then people listen to them on a platform. Now, for me, with the Infinite Lamp Shop, over the past year, I've been releasing music under the Infinite Lamp Shop as a fun experiment for the past year. I've made about $200. Not that crazy. But there are some people saying, okay, if I just upload a song a day, maybe I'll make more money. But then the second thing people are doing is saying, okay, now the music's up there. Now we're going to engineer a bot, a program, or whatever to then listen as much as possible. And it's becoming, like I said, a get-rich-quick scheme. And a lot of people are looking at it like that. And here's the issue. I think for these people doing this, there's really no, I hate to say it, risk. Now, yes, there have been a couple people in the past, like I think a handful, that have been sued and had legal action taken after them. I know Spotify did this with one guy who made like millions doing this. But those are far and few between. Because for me, and this is where it's very now relevant for you, a human artist, if let's say you're releasing music and you make music and you release it, and like say something happens to your account and it gets shut down, it's scary, right? It's alarming, like, oh shoot. And as you can imagine, if let's say you're just releasing it as an AI artist and your account gets taken down or banned, you're like, okay. And you move on to the next thing, right? Yeah, you might miss out on the potential money, but it's more of a slap on the wrist. It's not affecting you. Here's the issue right now, and a lot of artists have commented about this with DistroKid and Spotify kind of being the biggest things with this. And I love DistroKid, but also there's good and bad things. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. That right now, Spotify is cracking down on these bots. The problem is there's a lot of false positives where Spotify says, hey, this one song randomly blew up. It's got to be bots. And this actually happened to me. One of my songs, which is Gladiator, got featured in a playlist on Spotify. I got a ton of views, ton of streams, all that kind of stuff. It got featured. It didn't blow up, but out of nowhere got a ton of views because one person put in this playlist. Happens all the time to a lot of artists. DistroKid actually contacted me saying, hey, Mark, we noticed this fraudulent activity on your account. You cannot use bots. You cannot buy bots. You cannot make sure if you hire a marketing team, they're not using bots because even if you don't do it, if someone else does it, that can affect you. And I had to respond to DistroKid saying, hey, there's nothing fraudulent about this. It just got featured in a playlist. And they're like, okay, you're cool. So luckily nothing happened to me, but I have heard of a lot of artists of their music being banned permanently from DistroKid and Spotify and a lot of other platforms, them having to jump ship to, like, say, TuneCore or CD Baby because all this stuff happening with DistroKid. And here's a problem with that is DistroKid is trying to do the right thing. They're like, hey, there are people who use bots. We're trying to crack down on it. But it causes a lot of false positives. And the reason why I say this is with stuff like this happening, what's now happening is a lot of streaming services like Deezer, as I mentioned, they have to be one step ahead of it. They're now saying, okay, how do we get ahead of it? How do we play chess, not checkers, so to speak? And how do we crack down on this? Because the issue is the harder they crack down to be like, are you using bots? Is this actually AI generated or not? The more they crack down on it, the more it causes this inevitable issue for human artists, for actual artists who are just putting their craft, their hours, their 10,000 hours, to become a master of their craft, whether it's a producer, a hip hop artist, a singer, a songwriter, whatever you do musically. And the harder they crack down on this, there's going to be inevitable false positives. There's going to be inevitable, I don't even know what the word, like aftershock, that's even the right word. I don't know if that's the phrase for this. That's going to affect human artists. This is why this is something to be aware of, because I think the problem is the cat's out of the bag. And I talked about this in a previous video, the cat's out of the bag, and it's not going to get any better. If anything, AI music is going to get continually more popular, more easier to make. I mean, look at Suno 4.5 that I did a video about, I think it was a month ago. It's crazy how good it is. And you can do it in seconds. It's better and faster. How can you beat that? And then I would not even be surprised if, like, say, somewhere in the future where maybe Suno says, hey, we're now going to allow you to release it via Suno. I don't know. Like, again, I don't know how this is going to go. Who knows? Maybe DistroKid maybe we'll start having a thing of, and this kind of popped in my head too before I filmed this video, where maybe when you release a song on DistroKid, there's now a box. It says, check this box if the song is AI generated. I wouldn't mind that, and I would do it. But then you're talking about the honor system. How many artists are going to say, oh yeah, I'll admit it's made by AI. That might put you off. Maybe a lot of artists won't click it anyway. I don't know. It's tough because right now I don't think there's an effective solution. And I think the biggest issue with all this going on, the biggest issue, honestly, at the end of the day, is that with all the negative stuff happening with AI, with how easy it is to make it, how much is being released, how much is being listened to now on Spotify and on these other platforms, how a lot of people now are using bots to, artificially generate streams which then equal money. All of this equaling one thing is heavily affecting human artists who are just trying to make a living doing music. And we already know it's hard to make money as make money streaming. We already know streamings pay nothing. Like Spotify on average pays about a third of a cent per stream or per listen. Not that much at all. And now you're talking about this making it even harder. No, yes. Deezer has done things, like I mentioned in a lot of videos, like not recommending them in algorithmic playlists. Meaning that if your song is AI generated, like I showed you with mine, with the Infinite Lamb Chop, and you're, like, say, just listening to rock, EDM, pop, relaxing, classical, whatever, you would not be recommended. They only want to recommend human artists. I think that's a great approach. You can leave the AI songs on their platform. They're just a note, and they just don't get recommended in algorithmic playlists. I can see a lot of other platforms following suit. But when you add this whole curveball, or this whole, maybe not even curveball, this whole other thing on top of all this, and now people using AI music, not just to release it and make money, but now targeting the AI songs that they release themselves and artificially generate streams and views and listens just to make money, that means places like Deezer and other platforms are going to start cracking down. And how and when and why and their strategy that they're going to be using to crack down, I think is almost inevitably going to cause a lot of issues when you talk about false positives and a lot more. And again, this is where things like AI music, even if you don't make it, like I said in the beginning of this video, even if you don't make it, you don't care for it, you're just like, oh, it's whatever. It is something that almost inevitably, and is kind of almost already doing so, starting to affect a lot of the human artists out there who are just trying to make music and do what they love.